The NerdTable.
Can I see your sword quick?
It's called Uramasa. He carries it with him everywhere. It was mostly a wedding gift from his wife before he was turned into a half Nihilak monster.
Chris.
Gengar, use Shadow Ball!
Alan. Jason.
My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone.
The Happy.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
The NerdTable.
Freaking nerds, bro. Welcome to level 3 of Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah. I also used to be really good at that too.
That's what this reminds me of.
If there is a nerd thing, I've done it. Probably.
Where do you even find this?
Okay, if you paid attention during Carlos's onslaught on my life,
right?
All right, I said that I go to a site to get anime. I torrent it,
Yeah.
and then as the seasons start over there, people rip it and send it here to get subbed, and people for free sub it. So I watch the seasons as they happen, but because it's on my computer, it's just more convenient. I could watch 3 episodes and be like, fuck you, I'm never going to you again.
Right.
Or be like, Gundo, this is really great, and store it, or just watch it as it comes out and delete it. So, yeah, that's where you find it.
I don't know what that means. Like it's not, if it's not on WB. Remember WB?
Oh my god.
Or Toonami. Like I never got into it. I was the mainstream.
Well, for me, what happened was because it's really all this is Jason's fault.
It absolutely is.
He gave me a little CD packet with a pig on it, which, by the way, that's why I call Angie a pig, just because I had a thing with a pig in front of me.
Okay.
Gave me a thing, and it was Bleach, which is very similar in concept to Dragon Ball Z. It's better story. It does actually have story, but it's really just a battle anime. It's a reason to fight. And I was watching it, and I just couldn't stop watching. I'm like, fuck, I want to know what happens next. Fuck. Until like my mom started coming in, like, hey, it's 1 a.m. What are you doing? Shut up. I want to know what Ichigo's going to do.
Okay.
So when that ran out, I didn't have anywhere else to watch it. So I went to YouTube. I found YouTube had all the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And as I then explored YouTube, I then found out you could just torrent this stuff and get full episodes
Did
instead
YouTube
of waiting.
have it in reverse?
Yeah.
Not at first, no. At first, it didn't.
Oh, no, not
at
back
first.
then?
Not at first. But the one thing is because they didn't have the massive videos that you could put on. They only had it in like 15-minute segments. So you had to find from the same user, part 1, part 2, part 3,
right.
and part 4 if it was a long episode.
That's how I watched the entire first season of Digimon. Like,
yeah, same idea.
Yeah.
But as I got into that, I then started exploring other series that I'd find and other places to watch them. And then I found out I could torrent. I learned how to torrent. And since then, I have put down... Oh, my God. I have put down so many animes.
What is this? What music was that?
This is the opening for Sword Art Online, which is a relatively recent one. I think it was
That's the name? That's the title?
Sword Art Online, yeah.
Sword Art Online.
Yeah, it came out...
Okay.
It's with a reason.
It looks like a Google search. That's what
Pretty much.
That sounds like.
Pretty much.
Or an MMO for drawing.
There you go.
10 points for the half beard.
So Sword Art Online is an anime that came out in 2012.
Yeah.
The concept of the anime is basically there's a limited release for this game in Japan. And in order to play this game, you have to have this thing called a nerve gear, which basically it's a helmet kind of thing that you put on that cuts off your nervous system, and everything you do now transmits into the game. So basically, you're putting yourself physically into the game. The concept of the show is that once they logged in on the day of the release of the game, they couldn't log out. So they were trapped in the game because the creator wanted to make his own world like that. If you died in the game, you died in real life. The whatever was in the little nerve gear kind of it microwaved.
It's like Reboot. Remember in Reboot when the purple thing would come down, there would be a part of the simulation. If you died in there,
in a sense, yeah. In
Okay.
a sense. Except those were that was supposed to be like computer. That was life in a computer.
yeah, in the
This is
mainframe,
people like they sign on. Imagine people like Ivan or Christian. They sign on to WoW, and then they can't get out because the owner says you guys can't. And the caveat to it all was if you can beat the game, I'll let everybody go.
Okay.
But if you die in the game,
You
you're
die.
dead.
Yeah.
For real.
And there were people that would commit suicide because they couldn't take it. Oh, another fun one is the beginning of the series. One of the things that happens in MMOs, people create based on kind of what they want to be or what they wish to be. So, like, let's say, Sanch, you want to be a pretty little princess, and you make yourself a pretty little princess character.
Not far off.
So you go into the world, and at the beginning, the world sees you as the character you created.
Mm-hmm.
The nerve gear scanned you before you started it up. So as this ominous figure ends up being the creator, tells you you cannot escape. You only way to live is to win, beat the world. He then clicks his finger, and it disengages the created character and shows you for you. So it shows from what looked like a 50-50 split in male-female to like a 70% sausage fest. And there were dudes dressed in dresses. They're like, oh my God, damn it, fuck.
This is in the game?
Yeah, it's in the game.
Yep. That's sick.
Because it happens in MMOs. People create female characters.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're
Which is
playing
always
as them.
weird.
It is weird at
I
that
actually
point.
have a friend that several of us started playing Final Fantasy 14, which just came out. And I ran into this friend of mine who I just found out also is playing on a different server. And I said, oh, what did you make yourself? He's like, oh, I made myself a female cat girl. I'm like, you're a guy. He's like, look, if I'm going to pay $12 a month or whatever to play a game and follow a character around and look at something for the amount of time that I'm there, I want something pretty to look at.
See, this is a good point before we move on into the MMO and console and Xbox or whatever, PC stuff. I had a friend of mine living with me in my house, and we played Dragon Age together. And Dragon Age, you can create male, female, and he played as the female character. And I never understood why. So for us, this is the question that I pose. Is it weird for you to create the female character?
No.
As a male?
I don't think so because I just want to say for me, I don't pick the female character, but I can understand why people do. Is that factor of if you want to see something, you want to see a female character. Like you want to see, like when they're running, you're always looking at the person from behind. So I don't know that weird thing in the brain. Oh, if I'd rather see an ass, I'd rather see a woman ass than a guy
You're
ass.
talking about playing a video game.
No,
man.
I understand, but I understand why people would pick a girl character, and that whole sense of
But that's weird.
Is it though?
Yeah.
But I also think part of it can be like depending on the identity you're trying to create. Like if we all went into that game and you were gonna be a ranger and Keith was gonna be the fucking heavy gladiator and I was gonna be some form of something else and Jason was gonna be the nursing healing sorcerer, you can see where in
It's what I
his
do.
case, well,
Not
he's
far off.
normally a healer, which doesn't mean he has to be a nurse, but I'm saying like you can see where healers might want to be women because, women heal, or why the gladiators, there's going to be more dudes because you're like, I got to be a gladiator, I got to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
So it might also depend on identity.
I guess for me, when I play a game or when I get invested into a favorite character, I want to see myself. Like I try to associate as much as I can. When I create a character, I want him to look as much like me in the actual game.
You noob.
Well,
you
that's-
create one character?
Well, no, yeah, exactly. I play the game.
I've
once
created
and then
all
that's
our
it.
friends.
See, that's okay, but I get that. But you're not going into the game as your own personal character as a woman.
No.
Like when I try to play in Dragon Age, if I were to pick, because you could pick your backstory, I try even in Mass Effect, I picked as close to what I would personally choose. It's not an alter ego for me. It's me.
Yeah, you're not really role playing. You
Yeah.
want to be like, what if I was in that situation?
Exactly. That's how I go for it. So if for me, when I see a guy acting like a girl, I'm like, he wants to be a woman in real life. Like that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, but the thing is, going back to your own point, is that you are playing a video game.
Right.
You can have that freedom to kind of be whatever and whoever you want.
True.
Because I mean, you're not a girl.
Well,
But if you want to be like a female mage, because you want to be powerful, you want to be sexy or whatever. I mean, I don't, but I can
Right,
see
that's
what
it.
other people do.
I see.
Because
can't-
whenever
can't.
whenever I play the game, I never create myself. I always want to create the biggest, baddest guy out there. I want him to be 7
That's
feet
not far
tall.
off, man.
No, I want him to be 7
No,
feet
he's
tall.
got a specific name for his characters in all the games too.
Okay.
I'm not gonna share. It's proprietary to the half beard.
Yeah. That's trademarked, copyrighted.
But like he spent time developing this perfect name.
Oh yeah, I have like.
What is
Some-
it? I want to know. Come on, man.
All right.
I won't steal it. Maybe.
It's. I mean, once you hear it, it's probably not that bad. It's Anubis, but it's spelled.
Anubis.
Yeah, Anubis. It's spelled
Like the Egyptian god.
Right.
Yes and no.
Yeah, yes and no. It's spelled Anubyss. So it's both Anubis and Abyss. So it's representative of Anubis being the Egyptian god of the underworld, and an abyss, which is the deepest, darkest spot in the ocean. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I put a lot of thought. I felt
That's
pretty
cool.
good. And
Yeah.
I'm like the only guy out there. I mean, now 2 other people are gonna have it. But yeah, I take pride in that.
And that's
one.
your character name for each character?
Usually if I have a choice between like a good and a bad,
Yeah,
my
usually- I
bad.
think your villain in DC was
yeah,
Anubis.
my villain for like my Mass Effect 3, when I go Renegade, it's
Yeah.
Anubis all the time. It's like-
Okay.
but it sounds kind of weird, Anubis Shepherd. It's got an oldie name, but yeah, but always Anubis for like my bad character, the guy that's gonna kill some people.
Yeah.
By the way, the Anubis that I experienced in DC Universe, which is an MMO we both played,
It's basically Darkseid.
well, he had fire powers, and one of them involved like a rock coming from the sky and landing. And I think the first time Keith used that attack,
Yeah.
because we had our mics on, you said, "Oh, that's right, in your face, Keith. What? I got a rock from fire, earth, sky." That game was fun back in the day.
See, that's an MMO. But before we get into the MMO, for you guys, how do you see the male character playing? And the thing is, it's got to be sexist, because I don't mind if a girl plays as a guy. Like that doesn't get to me as much as the guy.
What
playing
it is that guys are more protective on that barrier, because there's a sense of like manly pride. There's not like woman pride. There's women do things, but men have like barriers in their pride. So that seems like I'm with you. When I played Soul Calibur, the first time I played it, I never picked any of the girls.
Right.
Because I'm like, no, I don't want to be a girl. So the characters I was good at early on were all dudes.
But
until
that's
later
even
is
different
when
than creating a character. Like
no,
when
well,
you
create a character also for the fun. Like part of it is also could be humor. Like in my case, my created characters are usually in fighting games. So some of the fun is making a midget with giant boobs, because you're like, that's weird. That's funny.
man.
That is. It'd be funny. Some of the funniest characters I have in my Soul Calibur created list are girls that we know, but it's just funny to make them and then to put a persona on them. Like one of them is a friend that we both have. Gave her a squeaky voice because she's whiny.
Who is it?
You'll figure it out.
Who is it? Okay, I'll guess.
Squeaky voice.
Whiny bakes brownies.
Oh, come on, man. She's not whiny.
We've been yeah, bro. Sorry.
Mind you, I have no comment.
I'm going on a double date with them on this Friday.
I'm
actually.
sorry. Well, at least you got Rossi.
Yeah. Oh, he just said it.
now you gave it away.
Said it. His words.
Oh, let's be honest. It
His
was the
words.
one minute I said brownies. If anyone knows who it is, it's done.
Okay.
But yeah,
But-
like we have, and it's funny because you give them characters. Like I think I have Colty, our friend the Giant. There's a Colty who's huge, uses his fist, and then there's a Colty who's like 5 feet tall. There's a Rossi who has his Carlos Boozer beard and uses a powerful weapon, and then there's a Dark Rossi that has an afro. Like you go for the contrast, you go for some funny, so you can make girls because it would be funny.
Yeah, but the thing is, what you're saying is different from what
from
what Sanchez is saying.
Yeah.
What he's saying is you're playing that single player aspect where
Yeah.
you are that character.
Yeah.
So you're not creating all these characters just to fight. You're creating a character to go on this journey, to play the story, to go on a journey, to be on an adventure that basically either you are or you're role playing to be.
Right,
Like you go into a
right.
different world.
Yeah,
It's different.
If you're playing Fable or you're playing what was it, Knights of the Old Republic,
Right.
or Dragon Age, for instance, like my friend Greg, who it was, he would make girl characters, and for me, I didn't understand it.
Actually, you know what? I think I'm with you on that because I think all the times that I've made characters they're me. I aim to be me.
Yeah, that's how I view it. I mean, people do it differently. That's how I view it, Jason. I mean,
Well, I'm a little different because I have more of like a writer's background. So every time that I come up with a character, like I create their own backstory in my head, and the way that they look is a definition of how I view them. For example, the character that I made in Final Fantasy XIV, his name is Ordell, which means at Valley's Edge. In Final Fantasy XIV, the way that you get magic is through this thing called ether, and ether is kind of like bluish in tint. So in his backstory, I said that he started being a mage because he got ether burn. So everything on his body, like his like the hair and stuff, is white with a tinge of blue. So like I develop a backstory for my characters, and I just let it go from there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about MMOs or RPGs, to be more specific, that you can create these backstories and you really become that character.
yeah,
And you create backstories and you say, okay, this guy is this, and the reason why he does this is because of these certain situations. And
Right.
as the story goes on, like you can create another person, and I think like the RPGs are amazing for that.
Well, I mean, Alan touched upon it again. I'm admitting this stuff to you guys that I've never admitted to anybody. When I go into a world or whatever, like I do it with friends. Like I've set up stories for everyone in this room in regards to like what Pokemon they would be, or if we were in Jedis or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I've written it down. I put it on notebook paper. I've even done it. I mean, because again, this isn't my background. I love sports. I'm a sports geek. So I've done it to where if I'm making a basketball team, you know what I mean? Like who would play center, who would be the quarterback, like that. I do that.
Absolutely.
So it's cool that you brought that up, Alan, because I kind of do the same.
It's funny because Alan used to have Excel sheets
Yeah.
with lists of our friends on who they would be in different shows.
Now, how long ago was this?
It's been a couple of years since we've touched it. The last one we did an Star Wars-esque breakdown.
Yeah.
What side you would be, what sword style, what crystal, what 3 powers would tend to be your strength, where you would rank, and we had everybody broken down. Like we know Eves at that point was like this wild, sex-crazed hippie, but he's not a bad guy, so he'd be a rogue Jedi.
Yeah.
We had like Keith was a Jedi. His father was a badass, but he's like, you know what, my sons, they're different. I'm gonna raise them differently.
Yeah.
So he left Keith with Wookiees.
yeah. I got raised by Wookiees, and my brother was raised by the Vapad. Basically, the red guards from.
They're like super,
yeah.
super strict, honor bound samurai.
I know. I remember.
And like Kevin would fight with a lightsaber that was the length of Sephiroth. So like I had this whole spreadsheet broken down.
We had backstories.
You want to know what's funny? I started playing Force Unleashed when it came out, the very first one, and it was a spectacular video game. I loved the Force Unleashed. The second one was an abomination.
It was horrible.
It deserves to be thrown into the pits of whatever.
Agreed.
So I remember sitting in my sociology class, and I'm like, man, I thought the same thing. Not an Excel spreadsheet, but I was on my notebook.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, out of all 8 of my friends, my ex-girlfriend at the time, like people, my brothers, what would we be? Dual wield, double blade, whatever. I inspired my friend Greg Norvish to write a book. He's writing an ongoing saga of us in the Star Wars realm.
Oh my! I
That is
would
awesome.
I would love that.
I have the book. He sends me chapters. It's legitimate. His girlfriend, the one that he's actually he's in love with now, he lives up with her in Virginia. She got it leather bound. Like she got it printed and leather bound, and
That's
it's an
amazing.
actual book.
That is
amazing.
awesome.
Like so I get exactly
that's a
where all
dream
that's
of mine.
coming
That
from.
is a dream of mine.
He wrote my backstory. I'm from Cloud City. Like it's so ballin', man. I have
Oh
a
my
purple.
gosh.
Like mine's is a purple single wheeled. Like
So
it's
you got
like,
the
like Mace Windu.
motherfucker.
You got the Mace Windu.
You got the motherfucker lightsaber.
right, exactly. Like it's.
By the way,
I get it,
have you
I get
ever
that.
heard the exact details on why he's purple?
Yeah. I think you're the one that told me it.
Probably. Yeah. Maybe.
What is it?
Basically, he I believe it was a matter of proving himself to be superior. He went to find the rarest crystal, because all lightsabers, the color comes from a crystal that gives it a combination of color and property. He went to find the most difficult one, which was that purple crystal. Came back, is like, that's right, motherfucker, and then put his gold-plated lightsaber. He's the only one to have a purple one, because you can't get that crystal. It's impossible.
See, the thing that I thought you were talking about was when Samuel L. Jackson was negotiating that with LucasArts.
Oh no.
Oh,
See, that's how I thought.
well, here's
because
the
I know that story.
here's
I
the
don't,
other-
I don't know the actual Mace Windu.
Here's
story.
the other thing. Lucas, one of the problems I had when Force Unleashed came out is that he really had the ability to just be like, you know what? That's canon. Okay. That's canon. Why not?
He did canonize it though.
What I'm saying is he could make up at any point anything and
yeah,
make
yeah,
it
yeah.
canon.
Okay,
Like
I
in
get
the
that.
first 3 movies, all you know is that the Force is something some people could control.
yeah.
In the last 3, it then came out to the metachlorian count, giving you like this upper limit of how strong you can be.
Yeah.
And those are contrasting things of training in almost a priestly manner to learn to control and actually having a limited amount of talent.
Mm-hmm.
But he can do whatever the fuck. He just makes it up as he goes.
Right. Or no,
And-
that's why there's a lot of loopholes in the whole story.
Yeah, which is great now that they've taken it away from him.
Yeah. Oh, and they gave it to Disney, and I think that's this topic we'll cover in another time.
One
But
day.
I have one question before we get into the whole thesis of why we brought up Sword Art Online and between PC and Mac or console games. Can I be in one of those things, Alan? I'm so jealous that you did it for everybody else. You have Call of Duty.
I think this was okay.
I
The
was
Soul
like, man, I
Calibur
want
stuff.
in it.
The Soul Calibur stuff, I can make you anytime, any place. I'll take a picture off my TV.
Yeah,
I can send it to you.
Right.
The Star Wars thing was a while back, bro.
Right.
Like I don't think Culty wasn't it.
No,
No,
Colty
it's not
wasn't in
that
it.
far back. It was
But
maybe
it-
like two
but
years
I don't
ago.
think
No,
Call-
it was at least 3. At least 3.
because I think you were still here when we started it.
Yep.
Yeah, but remember, I took the file and I actually
That you started researching deeper and deeper.
Right.
But I'm saying I don't think we have a Culty and an Ivan.
No,
like
no,
the
no, we don't have those.
people that we're friends with, they were friends with you also.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you still have the list somewhere?
yeah, it's in my
Yeah, I have it saved on my
Wait.
computer.
I was about to say it's in my computer. My computer's standing right in front of me.
See, the thing is, like, again, we started us four. I became friends with you guys about 2 years ago. I would say like 2 years. I've known Keith for a long time,
For a
and
very long
but
time.
you two I've known maybe for like 2 years. I would say.
Yeah, something like that.
And when I would see the pictures of all you guys as dwarves from the Hobbit,
Hobbit,
movies, I'm
yeah.
like, I want to be a dwarf, like the whole thing. You know what I mean? So I get, and the thing is, you know what we'll do? I think I'm gonna call in the next segment. I'm gonna call up Greg so he can come on the show with us and explain how he wrote the book and his process, because it's an actual saga, dude. It's one of the coolest things that he's done in his life. He'll have kids, and I'm like, it's still not as cool as you know, as all this stuff. And he made it personal. Like I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. In the story, we ended in the story. Like
Right.
He
wrote
channeled.
He wrote in live events
Exactly
to the
in the story.
Yeah.
And it's actually really cool. And the thing is, there's only 7 people that would like reading it because it's only about them 7.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, but it's really cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I found it. Yeah, there's no one that you would hang out with that's on this list. But to give you an idea,
What do you mean? I wouldn't hang out.
No,
with
they- like,
I
you
would-
weren't
that
hanging
you
out with
actively
Ben.
hang out
Okay.
with.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. So the Jedis include myself, Keith's brother, Keith, Pez, Dustin, and Brigham.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue Jedi, Ebes, And this is how limited our group was at that time.
Can you do this? Can you make one for us four now? Like
Yeah,
during
can
the
I?
break?
I've got. I
Well, really, he just needs to
remember
add you.
it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It's not set in stone.
yeah.
We're not working the old
algorithm.
days.
I can add you anywhere I need to.
Just click
and the other
into
thing
the next
is,
Do I have to prove myself?
no. Hey, you just gotta give me time to look up powers. Because the other thing, I looked up individual powers. So for
True.
instance,
So did Greg. Oh my God, we have to have him on the next segment.
all right. So let's go to Halfbeard, the dreaded Halfbeard, raised by Wookiees. His father leaves him to be raised by Wookiees. Right? Has force enhanced strength, multi-directional force push, and Crucitorn. Meaning,
Which means, yeah.
he could be injured, and with force, he could hold it together and continue battling. Because the image we had was Kevin, super clean, majestic warrior. I had all this telekinesis and shit flying around, and he's looking like fucking Sauron. Swings of a massive lightsaber and explosions of people.
Yeah.
And then let's say one of them hits him. Who gives a shit? More swings and explosions. Yes, fuck it all.
And you're basing this off their personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the coolest part.
So, like, he was a merc. He's a merc force user. He didn't want to associate with either side.
So was Chris Robina. Oh my God.
Here's one.
I'll be the first one to tell you in all these lists, I'm an asshole. I try to stay as far away from the good side as
So
possible
it's-
without
we
being
have
duped.
to have him on.
Here's
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
how
yeah,
limited
yeah,
our list
yeah.
was at the time.
Okay.
All our Sith are 3 girls and Adam. There aren't any other girls here, but it was okay. One's married
Why
to
is your
another
brother
one.
always the bad guy?
Well, no, it's not. He's always okay. One, he's the majority of my life. He's been like a thorn in my side. I love him now, pero coño, he was a
shit.
kid who looked at me and said, "Bro, you're a wankster." Very
God,
seriously,
man, I wanna
you can
slap him in
imagine
the
my
face if
problem.
that's the case.
All right, and then the other thing, he's always kind of gotten along with the girls well because he's not a nerd.
Mhm.
So where do we throw him? My dad, usually a very calm guy. My mom, very emotional. So my dad's a Jedi, my mom's a Sith. We're separated at birth. I go to the Jedis. He stays with the Sith.
Right.
It made sense. We're opposites. We're brothers. We compete with each other. So yeah.
So this is what we'll do. We'll go to break because we've been on this segment for a while. We didn't even get to the.
We didn't
Well,
talk
well,
it doesn't
anything,
matter.
yo.
There will be other
We'll
shows.
bring it up. No, we'll bring it up again later in the show. What we'll do is Alan's going to make his list of us right now in the studio. I'm going to give Greg a call so we can discuss the whole process of how he wrote the story, the inspiration, and everything. So don't go anywhere, dude. This is like...
You're
this is the-
you're
this is
having
the-
so much fun, and you were so anxious about what this was going to be like.
Don't go anywhere. Exactly. We'll be right back. Oh my God.
Yes.
Doesn't this music just get you aroused? Like, this turns me on. Man.
Every single time, man.
This is
I
the-
love
this-
this.
It really gets me pumped up. I think I'm going to listen to it before we play football on Sunday.
Seriously, this is high impact, high velocity.
Yeah.
Star Wars at its premium.
Every time I hear this song, I want to put on red and black paint.
Right? I just want to kill. I want to kill
Qui-Gon
Liam
Jinn.
Neeson. No, I just want to kill Liam Neeson.
You
I
want-
don't even care about Qui-Gon Jinn. I just want to kill the actor Liam Neeson. Welcome back to the Nerd Table. I have to get used to saying that. To the Nerd Table. This is Duel of Fates. Probably, if you're a Star Wars fan, is this not the favorite song of the whole genre? I guess.
Yeah, one
I
of
think
the
it
top.
depends. I think it depends. The older guys are probably going to say stuff from the original movies, like the Empire's song.
Imperial
Yeah,
Yeah,
March.
the Imperial
March
March
and-
and the song from the end of the first one. I forget the name of it when they're getting the awards.
Okay.
Like those are probably going to be the normal ones, and then the opening credits. But I think the younger you are, the more you appreciate that scene.
Yeah.
So you'll tend to like it more. So since we're all young and not Carlos,
Yeah.
we're all look, he's been firing shots at me for 2 weeks. I'm gonna fire some back. He's never gonna hear this anyway. He's gonna see Nerd Table and say, nope,
What is this?
freaking
Freaking
nerds,
nerds.
freaking
Exactly.
nerds.
That's just gonna be his comments. It's gonna be just Carlos freaking nerds. By the way, another shameful admission. This keeps happening throughout the show. I'm not liking this that much. You know how much crazy just fake sword swings I'm doing in the shower as this music is blasting in on my
You
radio.
use your saber?
Yo, oh yeah, exactly. Well, we have to come back to Star Wars and pick up where we left off from the last segment. And I had to bring on the biggest Star Wars expert that I know, and we're having him on for Star Wars talk and also to cover the book that he's written, the first book of the saga, and now he's currently writing the second book, which has taken about 8 years. But Greg Norvish, my good friend, my best friend all the way up in Virginia. Greg, are you there?
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up, Papa?
What's going on, Greg?
Buddy, what does that music do to you? When you're about to write a chapter or an epic battle, do you listen to Duel of Fates and get into it?
If there's anything that gets writer block out, it's that song.
It's true, man. This music is epic. Greg, we talked about in the last segment, Alan admitted that he had spreadsheets and he would put all his close friends on under categories, under what type of Jedi, what lightsaber, what color, essentially. And I told him the genesis of your book, because you have a book out and you're writing a second one, that when we were playing The Force Unleashed, when we were living together, how I wrote down all of our friends, the 7, 8 friends that were friends since so I've known you since I was 4 years old, but basically since 7th grade, and how I would say, oh, this guy would have a purple lightsaber, this guy would have a red one, so on and so forth, and that inspired you to write your book, essentially.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I'm going to have to thank both the Force Unleashed game and boredom during class,
right?
During college classes, because that is why you wrote that chart.
It was during my sociology class, and I'm like, man, I don't care about this class, and I just started going off on it. You kept the page. Do you remember? You kept the page that I wrote it.
Kept the page. I still have all the original pages, including that one that we started with. That all includes both that and the research I did. I have it in a folder, securely locked in an underground safe somewhere in the middle of Sweden, so that nobody can get to it.
Well, there we go. That
is
security.
awesome.
We know the genesis. Greg, when you started your book, where were you pulling your inspirations from? I know that was sort of like the Rosetta Stone, where you based off the basic format, but you went into the story, you developed character. Where did you get that inspiration from? From this song, from Duel of Fates?
It was really a number of things, but when I first got that chart, I realized I needed to do research too, because I kind of wanted to incorporate it to the actual stories, the movies, and even the books that have been written afterwards that continue the story. And so, but most of the time when I started doing the research, I would have the movies. I went through all 6 movies. I just had them playing in the background, and you hear the music, you hear all the awesome dialogue, you hear even some of the crummy dialogue, but you hear it going through. And just the inspiration as I was doing the research for what would work and what wouldn't.
And you always based it basically off the close group of friends that we grew up with through middle school and high school and into college. Alan did the same thing for his friend Alan. I mean, what were you looking for when you decided what kind of person went with what type of category?
Well, to start, I ended up finding Wikipedia and then referencing what pages, what powers were available to who, what they did, and how it related to who. We were talking about Keith here, and Keith, big, burly man, likes to wrestle, likes to get physical. So the powers that were kind of attuned to him were usually physical-based powers, where his brother's a little bit more precise in how he does things. So it made him more like a battle precog, so he's always reacting faster. So I usually kind of looked at each person and what powers fit them, and then considered some powers are dark side powers. Can't be a Jedi with a dark side power. Makes obvious sense.
Greg?
Cricket?
Yeah, you definitely gotta know. It was the same thing with us.
What's that?
And like you said, Wikipedia is an excellent research guide. But we have our one friend Matt, who's the smartest out of all of us. So he kind of became, and he's kind of the guy who always does everything right and by the book too. So he became the goody two shoes who knows everything. And so he's not necessarily as good with the lightsaber dueling, but if you take him on power and just pure power alone, he can cast any kind of power at you and use them all because he's studied them and he's learned them.
Right.
Now, Greg, how close would you say that your story is Now, obviously, you don't have Luke Skywalker and all that stuff as the characters, but how close would you say that the characters that you wrote in would be with the actual canon of Star Wars? Like, did you keep it like really legit to the story, like to the universe itself?
I really tried to. I started even reading the books that were being published at the time that I started. There was a current series that had just started called the Legacy of the Force series, and so my book specifically picks up right when that series ends, right after that ninth book ends. It picks up in that time frame. I even include some of the main characters. I keep them in the background, like Skywalker there, Han Solo. They've shown up. I try to keep them in the background because I don't know those characters as well to write their stories, so I don't want to really mess with their characters. Wikipedia is a great help to see all the research you can do and just the way the characters have grown. And I think that really helps me to, even though I stay away from them because they aren't my characters, I don't want to mess them up. I had to keep them in there sometimes, and it really helps me see, what the best way is to keep them relevant and true to their form when they do make their cameos.
Well, Greg, I know the story. I mean, I've been reading it. I would hassle you for chapters when you were cranking them out 1 week at a time. Explain to everybody where it is in the Star Wars timeline, where our story is.
Well,
what was like when?
Yeah, for those who know only the movies, okay, everyone's actually pretty young by the time they end. All the main characters. Where the part in the book where I start is actually, 20, 40 years after that. So you're now in. They're now in. It starts off originally in 40 years after the end of Episode 4, after the Battle of Yavin. And Skywalker's rebuilt the Jedi. He's rebuilt the Jedi from the ground up. He's got Jedi coming in left and right. The forces are getting stronger. The dark side's been here and there, but the Sith has, they've pretty much disappeared again. They show up every now and then, but it's just, and Skywalker's he's now in Yoda's spot, but he's a little more active because he's not 900 years old and having to walk around with a cane everywhere.
Now, could you describe to us Sanchez's character?
Yes.
What is his involvement?
Yes.
Please do, because I've narrowed it down to
epic.
3 powers. I want to see the comparison here.
Sanchez is.
What's my name, first of all? Start off with the names. How lame that you basically just altered our real name slightly.
For us, I haven't. I want to go back and change it and make them Star Wars names, but I've only altered the last name. So in the book, he's Christopher Sean, and since we have 2 Chris friends, just like in real life, some of us have been known to call Sanchez by his last name, so everyone calls him Sean and calls the other Christopher Chris.
Right.
But as far as character, he's kind of like he's the best. He's the best friend. He's always there to help you out. And
what a lame Jedi.
Leader, but he doesn't quite get up there as often. But he's always helping everybody out.
What about my man? Come on, like my
Kenny,
lightsaber
no.
color,
Okay.
huh?
Sanchez reads it, and he's always begging me for him to kick more butt.
Yeah.
But he's a little upset I don't make him kick more butt.
Now you're gonna make me want to choose new powers. I feel like I made him too awesome.
No. I am awesome. I am awesome.
Hey, he's got canon material. I can't go against
I'm
canon,
awesome.
man.
No, he did a bad job of describing my life.
Oh, jeez. He always wants to say he's better than he is in the story. He's number 2 out of all of us. He's the second strongest. I say that for sure.
There you go.
So
My color. I mean, what's my background, dude? I'm from Cloud City.
He's from Cloud City. He grew up there. He went straight to the Jedi Academy at 5, like a little older than usual, most people, but he went there. He met us there. He grew up. He and my character kind of go off the beaten path and learn and go into kind of secretly learning powers and researching powers we're not supposed to, because we always want to be able to be the best. And our original goal is to help save the galaxy, but then we've got to go along the way, and we're wondering, are we going too far the wrong direction? And and what's that end up going to be? What's that going to affect the galaxy as a whole, as well as where we stand on the light side or the dark side?
Does he turn? That's all I really care about.
No, he hasn't turned. I wouldn't say that.
Not yet.
Not yet. There may be a chance. There is some inkling in the book too that maybe he's fed up with having to deal with the goody two shoes on the light side.
Yeah, just like in real life. My character, okay, he's doing a terrible job again of describing me. I have like a cool silver hilt. I have a purple lightsaber. I have one eye missing, so I have
A cyber eye?
a cyber eye, right? And I have the big gash or scar across it. Remember?
He's got a cyber eye. He's got a scar going from the back of his eye through his hairline, behind it, over the top of his ear. Because a laser bolt in the middle of a war breaks out, and in the middle of a battle, he takes a laser shot right through the eye and through the side of his skull.
And in reality, because a lot of his characters are based off of events that happen in real life, I had stitches over my eyebrow.
Oh, okay.
So that's sort of like where he got it from. See, it's good. It's cool. And I got that cool hilt that's like in the back that I just got to pull it up from my shoulder, not from my belt.
Yeah, like he's got a baldric, so it pulls out like a samurai sword hiding on the backside, though. Or not samurai sword, but some people have the swords with the baldric on the back. If you ever played Force Unleashed, I based that off of General Koda, which is one of the characters,
Okay.
one of the main characters in those games.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character, Greg? I've never asked you that question before.
My favorite character? Oh man, I don't know. It's really, I hate sticking into favorite characters. It just there's so much I like about Star Wars and as a whole.
No, I meant in your book, not in the Star Wars saga. Like to write for. Who's your favorite character to write for?
Wouldn't it be himself?
Is it yourself? Are you that vain?
Says the guy who's arguing about his powers. I'm not enough of a badass. Wait, you like your own character? No, hold on, bro.
No, I actually don't really like. I don't really like writing for myself as much because I kind of made myself to be the good guy who turns into the bad guy at the end, and throughout for the second book, and so he deals with that, and I see why I chose me to do that, but he's not my favorite. If anything, I'd say my favorite is probably Matt, just because it's also because he's the simplest. He's the goody two shoes. He's trying to learn to be the leader, and he's like this great, potential Jedi to be the next in line to take over for Skywalker if Skywalker ever stops being awesome and kicks the bucket. But so he's it's really nice to write for him. Just it's very easy, and then his and Skywalker's actions. He gets to interact with Skywalker the most out of the characters, I'd say. And it's just nice. It's kind of like a mentor thing going on there. But I think that's the most fun for me.
Well, you already said two characters. You have Matt, which is he's the good character, and then you're the bad character. Sort of describe like Robina, Ryan, Henry. What are their genres and their background characters?
So we've got Sanchez is then he's the good guy who's so willing to help his best friend, which would be me in there, and that sometimes he's blinded as to what the true path should be. So he's really strong, but he can get blinded just by wanting to help so much, and so he sticks on my side. Then we've got Robina, who's the rogue. He just doesn't want to follow any rules. So at the end of the day, he just basically he says screw the Jedi and let's become a. He ends up leaving and becoming a bounty hunter.
Using the Force.
Yeah, he uses the Force. He's a bounty hunter. He's not fully. He leaves before his full training at the academy, the Jedi Academy. So he can use a lightsaber still. He doesn't like it as much, and he can use the Force, which is kind of makes his bounty hunter a little different than Boba Fett, obviously. And so we've got and then Henry's the guy he's always suspicious of everything. That's what I use him to figure out, to try to notice some mysteries in the story. Like, hey, this guy's not acting the way he's supposed to. We need to check him out. But he's also annoying when he does it, so nobody wants to really listen to him. So it kind of lets the mysteries go on, even if he discovers it. So lets the bad guys get away with some stuff. So
like in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan's the guy who's he just wants to do everything his way. So He's kind of like Chris, but instead of doing it on his own, he sticks with other people, in order to get it done. So he like sticks with me doing the bad things because hey, I'm now independent, I guess you could put the word is, and I can do whatever I want. So he likes that. You got Arthur is the oaf.
You don't say. Oh, I could have pegged that one. Does he use forced trip?
Yeah. Arthur's the oaf. He tries to do good all the time. He usually does, but he's kind of like the. I wouldn't go as far as making him the Jar Jar Binks of our story, but he kind of stumbles through things sometimes and just gets out and comes out on the end by accident.
God, I feel like you've been watching us play basketball with him. God.
No, I played basketball with him. He scratched me all the time.
Oh my!
So
Arthur, no! It's 5-on-1. No, stop! I got this. Brick.
And then you got Carlos. Carlos is. He stays good. You know, he's good. He's kind of goody two shoes like Matt, but he's willing to take the extra step in order to both either help his friends and but to also do what's right. But he doesn't cross the line as much. He's like Chris, and he's like Sanchez in the same way that he's loyal to his friends, but he doesn't let it blind him as much to see that maybe he's not doing the right thing.
I think he just called you a dummy, Sanch.
I have a cool purple lightsaber that's like a samurai sword, so I'm cool with that.
That's all you got?
I was more concerned about my aesthetics than I was about my actual character development. I was like, man, make me from a cool place, Cloud City. Make me have like a cool color, purple. You know, like that's what I cared about. Whatever.
I made it so that we had different lightsaber styles too. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Some of us the majority have single lightsabers, but some of us dual wield. Some of us have the staff, and then two characters, one being mine and one being a character that's based on someone else, but not the 8 main characters. Also have it where you can, if you know Asajj Ventress, you know she can dual wield, or she can, it was the 2 hilts, or she can put it together in the staff.
Right.
So it switches up. So it's like Darth Maul and you're putting Anakin together when he dual wields at the end of episode 2, only not crappy like where he gets his arm cut off.
So how does that compare with you, Alan, and you have what you have?
All right, so I built it just kind of affiliation, race, because some of us, an idea of throwing some different things, and then basically a 3-skill like strong point. Like I had like an absolute telekinesis, very short range, force sight ability, and a little bit of force absorb because I'm kind of constantly using power. And then I had lightsaber weapons, and I even had saber styles depending on who it was. So, for instance, the Hernandez brothers, who were raised by Wookiees and Enchani separately, each use Vapad, which is the Mace Windu style, which forces everyone to go dark side unless you're a badass. So I kind of built along that way, just 3 skills, weapon style, how you use the weapon, and then I had them colors. Like I have 1 white lightsaber and 4 blacks, which is like a basketball team.
Yeah, I was sticking with, as far as colors, I was trying to stick to, because even like if you know stories in the movies, it's still at a time where most of the lightsabers that are used are green and blue. You of course have Mace Windu with the purple, and then later on where the books start and where mine starts, in the new Jedi Order, they're a little more allowed to have multiple colors, or it's a little more wide range of colors. But I still kind of kept most of them the normal colors. Chris had to have purple, of course, because he wouldn't let me make the story unless he had purple.
I feel like you're very self-involved in this, Chris.
I was the genesis of it, all right? I get my say.
It's true. If he did not get bored that day and make that chart, this would have never happened. So I did allow him a much more leeway in saying what could and couldn't be in there than I would most people.
And come on, you would write the chapter, and I would send you back notes, and we would like rework it. Like it was a little bit of a collaboration, especially early on.
Oh no, it was definitely a collaboration. If this thing were ever get published, you would get both a mention and a name on your.
There you go, royalties.
Mm-hmm. You just get a thank you page.
yeah, just a mention
with a picture of him with 2 thumbs up, just yeah.
And then my character dies.
Chapter 1. His best friend died. His name was Chris.
So Greg will be my arbiter, Alan. So you have this set up. Greg, you agree or disagree with what Alan has set up for my character? Because Jason and Keith already have their characters set up.
All right. So I'm viewing Sanch. He's a very nice guy. He's not going to tend to destroy things. So I'm giving him some intermediary powers to be able to get around and actually fight with. So I'm starting with his best power is force travel, which will require a little bit of resistance to the dark side because of how you use the power, but it allows him to create rifts in space and move from point to point.
Ooh, like a Nightcrawler style?
Yeah, very similar, yeah.
Cool.
I would also line him up with the ability Phase. So you're Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde, actually.
Oh, so I could just walk through the walls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you had to, you got to get there quick, risk it.
That's fine.
With travel. If not, you Phase, which in combat, that shit's going to be useful as hell.
Yeah, I could just put my hand through your heart.
You're our Jedi ghost that no one touches.
Cool.
And then the third power, because I see him working with lots of technology around him that he also hates.
I hate it.
Meku Deru is a rare force power that allowed users to sense complex structures of technology and allow for intuitive understanding of how complex structures, including machinery and circuitry, fit together.
What about my blade color?
Oh, I hadn't gotten to blade. Because the thing with blade colors, I looked up crystals. That's how we did it. So, like, Super Samurai Kevin had a dragon crystal, was it?
No. The dragon was his hilt. He made it from a dragon bone.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crystals with different properties. I forgot who it was. Dustin, I think it was.
The
had
lava.
a lava crystal.
Yeah.
So the saber would come out, but it would also kind of leak heated fluid.
Yeah,
so you could kind of fling it at people.
Because the crystal was unstable.
Yeah.
So it actually leak out. So it's like lava.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so for crystals, you're going to give me another 20 minutes of looking up every crystal and what it does.
Well, we have time. Greg,
You're
describe
really determined to.
the thing that's cool, Greg, about the story is you go from like not even Padawan. You start off as younglings and our backstory, and then it's essentially to how some of us end up with Padawans. Talk about a little bit like Carlos discovering how he got his crystal to make his lightsaber color, and how someone, I forgot who it was, went through, instead of going through the trials, they had an epic battle and fought through like that.
Right. So what I knew this story would have to span over a lifetime in the first book. So it actually spans from us seeing us start at 5, and then by the end of the book, the oldest of us is, I'd say, 21, maybe like 21, 22. So since there's 7 main characters, I kind of have to switch who's leading each chapter. So you have some. So you'd see us. There was one, Matt was leading it, and it's like the first time he learned how to do a really strong force push. Carlos, he's the one we first see in his Padawan training. You see other people get picked as Padawans first, but he's the first one you actually see his training. And he goes to the planet they normally get their crystals from, where a lot of supplies called Ilum. ILLUM, it's a weird name, but a lot of crystals the Jedi get are from there, and you see he has to go through not only it's documented that not only when they go through the cave to find the crystals, a lot of people tend to have visions, because what you're doing is you're finding the crystal that's perfect for you. You're sensing through the Force what's going to help you, what you're looking for. And he ends up even having a vision that's stronger than most, and it actually lends into the future of the second book, but he sees a future that's stronger than most and even physically hurts him, whereas normally it would just test him mentally rather than fix him physically as well. And then the chapter you see them go, I decided when we got to the trials, we were all becoming knights. Some of us, of course, become knights. You can become knights for different ways, but the most general way is to go through the knighthood trials. They're tested for different ways: mental ability, resolve, what you're willing to do, what your character's like. And Sanchez is actually the character that goes through the trials. He in the story has issues with his father, and so that ends up playing into the trials to the point where they actually, because his father is a Jedi, but he's a Jedi who's left the Order and kind of questionable to the elders, he ends up having to fight him in his very last trial, and you see that. And so it's not only to test his resolve to stand up to whoever's threatening the safety of the galaxy, but his emotions. Can he handle it? Is he stable with all the things that's happened to him as growing up as a child?
This stuff is deep.
No, I'm telling you, it's super in depth. It's very well written. Are you working, Greg, on your second book, or has that been on hiatus since you moved?
It's been on hiatus since I moved to this new apartment. But now that I'm here, I don't have a creepy roommate anymore, actually, and everything. I get off, and the way my work schedule works, I have nice afternoon. So once everything's unpacked, I have the apartment to myself, and I'm gonna get right back to writing. But right now, it's on unpacking hiatus.
Well, now you have 3 new characters to write about, Greg, with the Nerd Table with Alan, Jason, and Keith. Before we let you go, Greg, again, we appreciate you just randomly coming in and sharing your book and story with us. The next movie, Episode 7, LucasArts, Disney coming out. What are your expectations, and what's the latest? I always text you. What's the next update on the movie?
You know what? It feels like it's hard getting updates lately. What I'm hearing lately is that supposedly there's issues with the writing staff and J.J. Abrams, but in all honesty, after seeing what J.J. Abrams did with Star Trek, and I was never a fan of Star Trek in the slightest before, but seeing him when it first came out, Lucasfilm and Disney, I said, oh no, this is either going to be really bad or really crappy. With J.J. Abrams at the helm, I feel more comfortable. I'm saying, okay, I want to see what he's going to do with it.
I just want less lens flares, because in Star Trek all it was lens flares.
Yeah, it's true. All right, Greg, appreciate you coming on with us, dude. I want to see chapters like in the next month, and I want to kick more ass. So that's what I'm putting on you.
Two
yeah. Well, I'll see what I can do.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Yep.
Later.
See you, man.
There's so many fucking crystals. I don't think I'll ever finish this.
You did it for everybody.
You know how long it took me?
A long time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also had my assistant, Dragon Lord Wookiee, over there.
Who was raises biceps of power.
Hey, everyone else was just happy to hear about it.
Yeah.
No, man.
He was critiquing.
Yeah.
He had like
that's how I was.
He wants to carry a fucking Gundam Buster Shield. He wants a sword that looks like a sword you can't lift in real life. Like he wants his blade about as wide as like his chin to his shoulder on a lightsaber.
Yeah, man.
Like your profile picture. You have a profile picture that your sword goes Super Saiyan.
Right. Yeah, right. Like my dream for that stuff, like I've been working on that Star Wars thing for a long time, and what I want is like what you have is like someone writes a book, but my goal is to have like a PowerPoint presentation of each character drawn by hand.
Right.
And then have a picture of the character themselves, then a picture of the saber, with the color and then the actual art of the saber.
Yeah.
The hilt, and like a brief backstory of who they are.
Bio for it. Yeah.
I for me, I love stories. Stories are amazing, and like that's like my dream, to just have all the stuff that we've been working on for like 5+ years, and just have it all
do it, right?
all represented with illustrates and actual bios. That would be a dream for me.
Well, that's the thing. I'm lucky because Greg did all that, and Greg likes to write. And the thing that I appreciated was he would ask me because the thing is I know I was fooling around with my character, like I just want him to be badass, but I like the character's development, and I don't like goody two shoes. I like the Breaking Bad style where everything's morally ambiguous.
Right.
Like you don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, because even the good guys have flaws. That's my favorite kind of story. So like Carlos, for instance, in real life, Carlos is a womanizer. Like Carlos gets chicks and he hates himself for doing it. So I want that part of his life as a Jedi, because you're not supposed to have relations.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he struggles with that. Like that's the kind of story that Greg gets into, and it's, I don't know, it's really cool, dude. And I wanted to start writing, but
he's the Tolkien of that.
Yes.
Takes him 8 to 7 years to write something.
So we'll go to break. We'll come back. We haven't even talked about anything yet.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed myself talking about
Yeah,
this.
this
dude.
has been a lot of fun.
This is all nerdy stuff, man.
This is
I
the
mean,
geek-
this is nerd.
Let the freak flag fly, right? We'll go to break. We'll come back. Alan's going to finally find the crystal for me. And we'll get into some other stuff outside of Star Wars. We'll finally get into some PC and console gaming. And then we'll talk about, we have to have our nerd debate where we have one question and each of us gets to pick an answer and we basically talk about that.
All right.
So all that's coming up